I've been obsessed with Space Marines 2, and I want to master every single class. And one of my previous videos had a little bit of backlash, and it was me talking about how I find the Bulwark to be fundamentally underwhelming. Well, I was wrong. In this video, I made sure that I listened to you guys' feedback, and you were saying doing 5 hours of strictly Bulwark to get good. Let's see how far we can go, see if we can push it. I want to be good at this class, so we're going to keep going. It was more of a skill issue, so I maxed out the character. Playing for over 10 hours straight, it's safe to say that the Bulwark is really good. I want to get into that this video. If you're new to the Bulwark class, fundamentally it has its ability which is known as the Chapter Banner. What this does is gives you armor over a period of time, say 1 to 3 seconds, generating it around a circumference around your entire team. This is used as a defensive or aggressive approach to try and keep advantage while fighting. Its other huge utility in its arsenal is its shield. That blocks all incoming damage. Fundamentally, every single thing apart from a heavy attack it'll be able to block. But there's a way to also block heavy attacks. Similar to how you have the parry system in PvE, you can apply the parry system in PvP, meaning that every single time you come into any range combat, all you need to do is simply understand the timings and parry them, and you can fundamentally be immune to all damage. There's the exceptions with heavy hard hitting stuff from the assault, but most stuff that comes towards you, or at least when they try to attack you, there is a way for you to block all incoming damage. It is a juggernaut and it can survive game after game without dying. And even though I'm not a massive PvP warlord, I was seeing myself winning about 90% of my games. But this is because I changed something fundamentally. Something that I didn't think the Bulwark was able to do. Captain America. I think that's how you should be playing this class. Holding shift and running forwards. Pressing W and just keep going towards your enemies. Staying on the objective allows the enemies to get re-round position and try and get a flank on you. If you head directly towards them, they have a really hard time. Starting with the 2 pistols, either one of them can work in different circumstances. Me, I preferred up close and personal. I like to hold W. I didn't want to hide on the objective and play defensive with my team. I wanted to try and push the enemies off the objective 24/7. So personally, I preferred the plasma pistol due to its damage and output. The only downside is its aim's a little bit inconsistent compared to the bolt pistol. But with this, I made sure to try everything out. This was all the different weapons, utilities, and melee options. And certain different stun grenade, frag grenade, or crag grenade actually had an impact on how I was playing. Frag grenade, for example, I would use that to stick onto an enemy while charging directly at them to increase pressure, making them flee. When I had the stun grenade, I'd use that in situations where the competitors were a little bit more challenging, so I needed to hold down an objective. And the frag grenade is just for kills. Most of my time was spent using the power sword, and I found how to use the slam ability. I kept accidentally using it, but it's simply any attack you do, once a sword goes back and you see it light up, press the button a single time and it'll do this cool effect and slam to the ground. The only downside is it's extremely slow, so every single time I tried to do it to flex on an enemy, I would die. So the core of the Captain America build, we'll call it, is what you want to do is simply just run towards your enemy, terrifying them, and then once you get close, you either use your crag grenade to stick on them for instant massive burst potential, or you charge in with a heavy attack that will either give you a lunge or sweeping depending on power stance. Once you have this, the enemy is either going to try and attack back, and you have the damage potential so you will win, or they'll try and flee, which gives you the opportunity to use your pistol to shoot at them. The only issue being if there was another team member, you do this charge, then you defend walking backwards. If they try to swing back at you, you can parry while blocking incoming damage. It's crazy. The only weapon I was relatively scared of was the combat knife coming from the sniper or the vanguard. This is only because even if you get perfect parries every single time, the speed that the vanguard is slashing you, you can't physically stop that. So you'll be just parrying endlessly until one of your teammates come and help you in the fight. When it came to the assault, we had the similar situation, but after 3 hits and they go for their charge slam, You just simply have to roll out the situation, giving yourself an opportunity to fire away and kill them. I mentioned in the rant video that I said the Bulwark was too reliant on your team, and I'd take that back. If you use the crank grenade in a situation, charging directly towards a heavy or another Bulwark is very scary. You throw the grenade, and then after doing an additional 1 to 2 melee hits, the character is dead. If it's a light or assault, it's even less. This helped a lot in situations when we needed to kill an MVP. I'd find who was doing the most damage, I'd focus them and get them eliminated from the game, hoping we could kill the rest of them quite easily. The only grenade I didn't have at the time was the melter grenade. I know that throwing this down, it doesn't have a large throw distance, but you can block while detonating. Meaning if you have a group of enemies and you charge in with your team, throw it down and just simply block, you're able to detonate it without taking any damage. I haven't tried this out yet, but I can think this could be really fun. I'd like to see this in a sniper class as well, because I'd find it interesting to see if you can throw it down and detonate. Both the chainsword and the power sword have huge cleave potential, but the power sword gives you 2 utilities, allowing you to change from the power stance and the light stance. Power stance doing heavy attacks, it can go through armor into piercing the health, and then the light attacks are more fast. But they also have the ability of when you hold them in a running situation, the light gives you an additional range and a lunge. Doing this around a corner and closing the distance from someone who's trying to run away from you, this is really advantageous. And then the alternative is when you're doing the plasma fully charged, you pee it around the corner, you run, and then you can do a dash and then do an AoE sweep. Both of these I used every single time, and it would give you a huge advantage. Simply go into the fight knowing that they're around the corner, either peek first, and then run and swing into them before they've even had a chance of looking at you. Just use your corners to your advantage. Then if you had some kind of grenade, that's the best time to then stick it, roll away, block, and then look to clear the distance. I was playing very passively beforehand, and I don't believe the Bulwark's meant to be passive. Yeah, you can stay behind flanking, but if you charge into these enemy units with your team behind you, they're going to have to focus fire on you, and because of your tankability and your survivability, you can clear up the entire team very quickly. We would go countlessly onto the first objective, and I'll just run straight forward towards them. Lob your grenade, because as you're blocking all incoming damage, you pretty much got a guaranteed target on where you want to throw your grenade. You throw it down. All of a sudden you've got an AoE clear of all of them, either a stun grenade or the crag grenade was my favourites, and then you can clear up. I would have to say the only issue, which it does need to have an issue, otherwise it would just be the most broken class in the game, is its counterpart, the Vanguard. Although in a 1v1 situation you can easily deal with him, if he is in a team he can break out of your shield very quickly. Simply a grapple hook will stun you out of your shield, making you very easy to kill. So primarily focus on getting rid of the Vanguard before you do anything else. That's when you play passive. Once you know that they don't have one of those in the situation, you can charge straight in and clear up. After my experience, I need to apologize. In that video, I had my merits on why I thought the class was weak. When you go to the Bulwark, if you try to follow those principles, you're just a weaker variant of all the other classes. Where your strengths lie is the fact that you can charge into any situation without taking any damage. You can then use that to your advantage to apply pressure. When applying pressure, that can leave people to be either panicking and misplay, or your teams come in to clear the kills. Most of the time playing with them, even though I did have a few games when I got over 40 kills, I would be getting a 1 KD ratio at best. This class isn't made to be the top DPS, but if you want to win games, if you want to clear up every single lobby, I think the Bulwark is probably the best class for this. And I'm glad I completed it, because I love the style. I love making Captain America, it just looks awesome. Now I'm going to have to try him in PvE. So if you watch to the end of this video, in the comments down below, who do you want me to max out next? Who should I try? And I'll see you in the next one.